So this entire Charlie Kirk situation has turned into something I don't think many of us saw it turning into. Candace Owens now saying that Turning Point is trying to set her up. We've got the FBI director somewhat beefing with Candace Owens, it seems. We've got all of Turning Point going against Candace Owens in this situation. And we heard that now Candace Owens, she is actually trying to make this meeting or this debate work with Turning Point USA. We're going to get into that in another video. But one of the key things we're going to talk about here is Candace Owens and her alleged assassination attempt on her life. And we actually are going to hear from the FBI director, Kash Patel, on what he thinks about Candace Owens' claims, how far they're going to look into this, and if there's anything there. But first, I want to acknowledge what Candace Owens said about the meeting with Turning Point USA that's supposed to happen on the 15th, and that she's still trying to happen on the 15th. As we know, Blake Neff, he came out and he gave Candace Owens a date, and he told her, the ultimatum is you have to show up in person or we're not making this happen. And he said, if you can't show up in person, then too bad. We're not going to do it and we're going to move on without you. Candace Owens says, I can't be there in person. I've got something else planned, but I'll do it virtually. Turning Point USA and Blake Neff, by the direction of Erica Kirk, according to him, said, well, we're not doing it. We're going to continue without you. Candace Owens then said that she's going to react to the live stream that they do if she can't make it. And she also said this. She said, you literally said we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream, which you were clear your team would be streaming from the studio in Phoenix at a date that had not been decided. You never said she must be in person for that stream and must respond within 24 hours after we choose the date and time. There is nothing sincere about what you did following that announcement, and you deserve the ratio you're getting. Shout out to the ratio. Frankly, nothing has felt sincere about the organization since Charlie passed. Dang, and that's taking shots at Erica, because we've all been made aware that Erica Kirk is officially calling the shots, and Blake Neff even said himself, hey, this order, this instruction, this directive to have Candace Owens come to the live stream on December 15th came directly from Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk wanted this to happen, and it's rumored or it's thought that Erica Kirk may even show up. But now let's move forward into what's going on with Turning Point USA and Candace Owens in relation to the entire assassination. We're going to hear and get an update from Kash Patel on that. And shout out to Colin Rugg for posting this. He says, new, the FBI director, Kash Patel, responds to Candace Owens's claims, including alleged assassination threats against her and her claims against Turning Point USA. This is going to be good. Always good and interesting to hear from the FBI director on this. We'll take it with the grain of salt. And shout out to Kash Patel. Check this out.
Let me start with this, the most obvious. Do you believe that we have the proper suspect in custody? Do you believe that Tyler Robinson is, in fact, the man who killed Charlie Kirk?
Obviously, yes. Megan.
Do you believe he acted with the help of anyone else?
This investigation is being led by the Utah state authorities because it is a murder investigation. So the FBI is a supporting role in the investigative process. And so what we're doing is the same thing we did in the pipe bomb investigation. The investigation is ongoing for us. If there's any new leads or tips, we are exhausting them with search warrants and legal process. But at the same time,
imagine being the FBI and having a microphone this bad. Kash, what are you doing, man? You need tech support? I will be happy to sign up and be tech support for the FBI. We'll make sure your mic sounds all nice and crispy for this impromptu interviews. What are we doing, Kash? Anyway,
any new leads or tips, we are exhausting them with search warrants and legal process. But at the same time, we are working with the prosecutors in Utah to make sure we don't screw up their investigation. Because again, the worst outcome would be if the guy that killed Charlie Kirk walks out of a United States courtroom in the state of Utah. And so it's a delicate balance again, but there is no way this FBI is going to stop that investigation until it reaches its all-conclusive endpoint.
So he didn't answer the question. Megyn Kelly's question, in case you didn't remember, because as the FBI director, you do have to be well-versed in politics. Megyn Kelly's question was, is there information or is there anything pointing to another suspect or someone who was implicated in the planning and assassination of Charlie Kirk? And Kash Patel said, hey, we're looking into everything that we can. Thanks a lot.
Do you believe any foreign government had a role in his assassination?
At this time, the FBI doesn't have credible information to connect any foreign governments to it.
That's a direct
But as I
question.
said, we are continuing to take investigative leads. We're not done. Just because we arrest someone, just like in the pipe bomber case, we don't just say, okay, we're done, on to the next. The investigative team continues to work with the Utah authorities, and they're deriving their own leads and coming back to us and say, hey, can you look at this piece of information? Can we get a search warrant on this account? What about this individual who is located in X, Y, or Z? We're tracking all that down.
Do you have any credible reason to believe that anyone connected with the Turning Point organization had anything to do with Charlie's death?
Zero.
Oh, he answered that one quick. Charlie was his friend.
On the subject,
by the
there's
way,
been an allegation made by prominent podcaster Candace Owens that she's received a death threat, a credible death threat from the French, that a threat has been made on her life, and that the French, she's been told, also may have had a role in Charlie's assassination. Have you looked into either of those? Do you believe she's received a credible death threat from the French, or that the French had something potentially to do with Charlie's death?
Any American that receives a death threat from overseas or anywhere in America is going to be fully investigated. So we're not going to turn our eye away from that investigation or any others. If there's anything to it, this FBI will respond to it.
Good political answer.
So far, no.
So we are just looking at everything that comes in. We're not going to reject any piece of information. If someone feels that their life is being threatened, we are, of course, looking at it.
Come on,
I can
Cash.
verify that myself, because we've received some very dark things here at our show, and you guys have always been very responsive in looking hard at the people who send them. Can I ask you, Cash, the text messages between Tyler Robinson and his roommate Lance Twiggs, the reason a lot of people think Tyler didn't do it is because they sound kind of fake. You know, the wording just sounds a little strange. Like, I thought they caught the person, or no, you weren't the one who did it, right? I am. I'm sorry. They go on from there. Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred, and so on. Do you have any reason to believe that text exchange was not real between them for whatever reason, potentially even having been orchestrated between the two of them?
Look, I understand the emotion behind this case. Charlie was my friend. He was your friend. He was assassinated in the most brutal way in a public forum where he was trying to have engagement with the youth of the United States of America.
Come on,
and
Cash.
While I was representing the White House at Ground Zero in New York City on 9/11, we made the decision to pivot immediately and fly out to Utah to make sure we executed this manhunt. We went out there. The FBI seized the video.
Oh, man, this gets on my nerve, man. Answer the question, Cash. We already know where this is going to go. I try and give him a chance, but this dodging of the questions, if you can't answer it, just say you can't answer it. It would save us all a bunch of time. We know what happened, Cash. Just answer the question, dude.
And put it out to the public immediately. And then this individual was caught in 33 hours. And so I understand that there's so much charged emotion on the other evidence that was collected, the notes that you were talking about, the text message, excuse me. And we present that information to the prosecutors to make the determination based on the evidence we have as to whether or not they were real. I can't stylize or comment on it because it's an ongoing investigation, but I don't believe the prosecutors in the state of Utah would be using any piece of information or evidence that was not credible.
Of course not.
Last but not least on Charlie, there were texts by certain trans individuals online before the assassination talking about something big is going to be happening, and then after he was killed saying, and there it is, leading many of us to wonder whether there was some sort of trans-Tifa connection to the murder, or at least maybe some tip-off to the community. Yeah, is that under investigation?
That is most definitely under investigation, and we've disclosed a lot of that to the prosecution, or all of it that we have, and they've made some of it public to include that he was in a relationship with an individual who was part of that community, and that he was engaged in communications with other individuals in that community. But as to how they relate to the prosecution, that's up to the Utah prosecutors to say, we need this in court.
Yeah, and hopefully, we are really hoping that we'll actually be able to see this play out. There's a lot of back and forth between the judge and the prosecution and Tyler Robinson's side on whether they're going to allow cameras in there, which is surprising because Utah is very liberal with their use of cameras in the courtroom. But now in this case, they're saying, it might be a little bit different. Also, they've talked about changing the venue because of that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Of course, amidst all of this that's happening, of course, we had to hear from Erica Kirk, and she's going to comment on everything she's seeing online, everything that's being said about Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens in general. Check this out from her.
I get called so many names. I genuinely don't care. I really don't. I've told you this before. When you kiss the bloody dead body of the person that you love, it pales in comparison to being called XYZ. Charlie understood the importance of social media, of how to reach a generation that was not paying attention to conventional news. It's the type of generation that is watching TikTok and X and Instagram, getting their news from influencers, not truly journalists.
And that's a fair. Erica says she's not fazed by it. She's got a mission to do. This is the video of her at Charlie Kirk's, I don't know what you call it, service or memorial that they have. Very strange. We're not going to get into that. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments in the chat. Is Candace just totally off base? And is there nothing there? Seems like the FBI is doing something to look forward or look into it, but we don't know what that is. And we've got more to talk about when it comes to Turning Point USA and Candace Owens coming up soon. Make sure y'all tune in for that. And let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat.